Hey everyone, welcome back to Rocky Watches Movies. Today we're diving into one of the most iconic westerns of all time, The Good, the Bad and the Ugly. This 1966 classic, directed by Sergio Leone and starring Clint Eastwood, Eli Wallach and Lee Van Cleef, reshaped the western genre with unforgettable characters, tense standoffs and sweeping cinematography. But behind this epic film lies an equally epic set of stories, from tense negotiations to on-set accidents. So grab your poncho and let's shoot through 20 things you never knew about the good, the bad and the ugly. A Fistful of Dollars and For a Few Dollars More generated massive success in Europe, but they hadn't been released in America yet. To make the movies available in the US, Leone invited United Artists executives to Italy to watch the first two movies and discuss a distribution deal. United Artists also wanted a third Western from Leone, and when they asked him for ideas, writer Luciano Vincenzoni improvised, saying, "It's the story of three bums going around during the Civil War looking for money." This simple pitch intrigued the executives enough to greenlight the project on the spot. Despite being hastily conceived, Vincenzoni's idea became the foundation of the final film, and then all three movies ended up being released in the US in a single year. Although it's the last movie in what's now known as the Dollars trilogy, The Good, the Bad and the Ugly actually takes place before the other two films. Clint Eastwood's character is seen acquiring his famous poncho only in the closing minutes. This prequel element wasn't planned, but the continuity between Eastwood's iconic poncho and costume creates an unintended sense of progression. Leone didn't make A Fistful of Dollars, For a Few Dollars More and The Good, the Bad and the Ugly as a trilogy. The Dollars trilogy concept was actually a marketing creation by United Artists, which branded Eastwood's character as the man with no name for American audiences. By 1966, Clint Eastwood was already well known for his Western roles and wasn't interested in revisiting the genre so soon. His reluctance was further compounded by the fact that his character would share the spotlight with two other actors, Eli Wallach and Lee Van Cleef. To secure Eastwood, producers finally agreed to a $250,000 salary, a significant increase, 10% of the film's box office profits, and a brand new Ferrari 275 GTB. Initially, Eli Wallach also turned down the role of Tuco, not wanting to star in an Italian Western. However, after Leone flew him to Rome and screened him just 2 minutes of each of his previous films, A Fistful of Dollars and A Few Dollars More, Wallach was sold on Leone's vision. Leone originally envisioned Charles Bronson for the role of Angel Eyes, but Bronson was busy filming The Dirty Dozen and had to decline. Reluctantly, Leone cast Lee Van Cleef, who had already played a sympathetic character in For a Few Dollars More. Though he had concerns about the audience's reaction, Van Cleef's chilling performance as Angel Eyes was powerful and sinister. The film's original Italian title translated to The Two Magnificent Tramps. However, screenwriter Vincenzoni suggested The Good, the Ugly and the Bad to better capture the story. United Artists eventually flipped the title to The Good, the Bad and the Ugly to make it more appealing in English, creating the title we know today. If you're enjoying the video, a subscribe to the channel would be like finding some Civil War gold. During the film's pre-production, legendary filmmaker Orson Welles warned Sergio Leone against setting the film during the American Civil War, a period he deemed box office poison. He insisted that his film would be much more historically accurate than previous American-made westerns set during the conflict. And to achieve as much authenticity as possible, Leone undertook detailed research on the American Civil War, even traveling to the US to consult Library of Congress archives and study Civil War-era photographs by Matthew Brady, the father of photojournalism. But the depiction of the battles isn't considered to be very historically accurate. Like many fictional works, it takes creative liberties with historical details to enhance the drama. One instance would be the Gatling gun, which was around during the Civil War, but it wasn't used in 1862 or in New Mexico where this is set. Although he had already made 2 films with Eastwood, Leone still did not speak English by the time of The Good, the Bad and the Ugly. He relied heavily on translators to communicate with his cast, though Eli Wallach could speak with him directly in French. For the movie's pivotal bridge explosion, Leone hired Spanish soldiers as extras, and multiple cameras were set up to capture the event. However, the signal to blow up the bridge was supposed to be the word "via," and unfortunately, a member of the crew, while trying to hurry a cameraman, said that word "via" too quickly. The triggerman heard the word and blew up the bridge before the cameras were rolling. The bridge had to be rebuilt, driving up the costs and, of course, angering Leone. In the scene where Blondie shoots the rope around Tuco's neck, the horse took off too early, startled by the gunshot. This left Wallach hanging dangerously by his neck, with his hands tied, as the horse galloped for nearly a mile. Then, in the scene where Tuco kills a Union soldier to escape from a train, Wallach narrowly avoided decapitation after almost raising his head too high as the train passed. Then, during the cemetery scene, the crew applied acid to one of the bags of gold to make it easier to open, storing it in a lemon soda bottle without notifying everyone. Wallach took an accidental sip. Thankfully, though, he spat it out and rinsed his mouth before any major harm was done. In the bridge explosion scene, Blondie's life was almost cut short. A large piece of shrapnel narrowly missed his head, hitting the sandbag next to him. Some reports state that this is Eastwood who nearly lost his head, but he himself has said it was a double. Even so, a lucky escape for the fella. The set used for the town in which Tuco's first hanging takes place was originally built for the spaghetti western Django. As is often the case, these simple facades and storefronts can be repainted and moved around to create entirely new towns with very little effort or cost. But when Leone reused this set, nothing about it was changed. It wasn't even cleaned between productions. Sad Hill Cemetery, where the famous three-way standoff takes place, was built in Spain by the Spanish army for the film's grand finale. In 2015, fans of the movie initiated a project to restore the cemetery, which had become overgrown. Volunteers cleared the land, resurrecting this iconic location and turning it into a tourist destination for fans of the film. The process was captured in the documentary Sad Hill Unearthed. Staying on the topic of the cemetery scene, Leone used a real human skeleton rather than a prop. Set designer Carlo Leva heard of a woman in Madrid who had a real skeleton for hire. It was her actress mother's, who had written in her will that even after she had died, she wanted to continue acting. I wonder if she's still working today. Though Clint Eastwood's character is labelled the Good, he has the highest on-screen kill count of the three main characters, with 11 kills. Tuco and Angel Eyes kill 6 and 3 people respectively, but it is worth noting that while Blondie and Tuco kill bandits, bounty hunters, and corrupt officials, Angel Eyes kills a former soldier, his young son, and a bedridden invalid. Eastwood's Blondie is rarely seen without a cigarillo, a key part of his character's image. However, Eastwood disliked smoking, and he was especially annoyed by the repetitive takes Leone insisted upon. Eventually, he began telling Leone, "Get it this time or I'm going to throw up," or "Get it this time or I'm going to quit." Despite the success of The Good, the Bad and the Ugly, Eastwood declined Leone's offer to appear in Once Upon a Time in the West, where he would have played harmonica. Eastwood was ready to move on from Leone's westerns, wanting to explore new projects. Leone eventually got Charles Bronson, making Once Upon a Time in the West yet another landmark in Western cinema. Screenwriter Vincenzoni pitched a potential sequel in which Tuco would hunt down Blondie's grandson for the last of the gold. Eastwood even expressed interest in narrating the story, but Leone vetoed the idea, preferring to preserve the original's legacy rather than risk diluting it. And there you have it, folks. Now you know a little bit more about The Good, the Bad and the Ugly. If you enjoyed the video, which I presume you did, as you got this far, hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss any